What is up, folks? Casual Dad here with another Heroes of the Storm stream, just to play a couple games and see how it goes. And clear out some quests. Turn down our sound a little bit. Yeah, that'll be fine. And one of the big things I wanted to talk about today, which is pretty funny because I'm not, the thing I wanted to talk about today is how much I enjoy playing support heroes in games like this, or support characters in games like Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. And I've touched on this a little bit before, but when you're playing as support, one of the coolest things about it is that it's a really good way to learn the game. Because if you're playing a support or healer, most of what you're doing is supporting other players. So you're helping them either do more damage, do something more effectively, survive longer, or just straight up healing. And that's a really, really good way to learn the game, because what you have to do is rely on your teammates to more or less call the shots. They're kind of driving the game, and you're there to help them do what they do best. Now, that's it's a little bit more of a passive role because of that, but that's good as a new player because that's how you learn how to play the game, is by playing with more experienced players or seeing, streamers kind of do what they do. And it's pretty terrific doing that as a support because you actually can stay back a little bit, you can be a little bit safer, and you can actually learn by observing others, observing the game. This is particularly good in Heroes of the Storm, because you can see the entire map all the time, even when you're dead. But it's also good in Overwatch 2, because you can stand back a little bit and not just be in the front getting hit by, Widowmaker first thing. And one of the reasons I like that is just because it's helped me learn a lot of games. It's an interesting way to play. And then also just because in my real life, my grown-up job, I work with clients. And a lot of that is kind of understanding different personality types and understanding who they are, where they're coming from while you're working with them. And that ties over into supports, especially in quick match with games like Heroes of the Storm or Overwatch, because most of the time you're playing with a team of strangers, people you don't know against. And a lot of the time, for me, I don't even get into the voice chat either. So I'm not coordinating with them vocally. So it's kind of an experiment in understanding people on a more instinctual level. Like if someone goes a certain direction or they take a specific action, I respond to that just from myself and make kind of the best decision on the fly. So it's kind of an intensive stress test of your ability to kind of follow cues from other people. So that's a pretty cool thing that I really enjoy about playing supports. Again, I am not playing a support right now, playing a melee bruiser here, but I wanted to talk about supports because that's what I wanted to talk about. So we do have a support on our team. We have Uther. So I'm going to call out a couple things he's doing during the game, just to kind of talk about what he's doing as a support and how important it is. Now, Uther's kind of a weird one because he's actually Uther and Stukov on the other team are both kind of weird supports, and I guess Probius kind of counts. And Abathur, I guess, kind of counts too in a weird way. Uther and Stukov are weird because they're both melee supports, so they do have their abilities, but also they're supposed to be a little bit in the thick of things, smacking stuff. So if you have a more kind of offensive mindset and want to play with a support, you can look for the supports that do a little bit more damage, so you can be a little bit more involved and less backfield. That takes away some of what I was talking about with kind of letting other people call the shots, but not a lot. It still does a really good job kind of learning the game and figuring out how it goes. Now in this, I am going to be calling some of the shots because I am a bruiser, and I am kind of the tank of this team. We do have some tankier players, but I'll be the one taking the brunt of the damage for the most part. So we'll see how the support does, and we'll go from there. I just generally really love playing Heroes of the Storm for those same reasons. Yeah, if our Butcher doesn't play, it's going to be a real fast, sad game, but we'll see. But yeah, so it's one of those things, even if you're not playing as a support, the other parts about coordinating with strangers are still very true. Like, I don't know these people. Oh, that was dumb, buddy. I shouldn't be mean. And I need to back out of there. Uther is in this. That's Uther, weird skin. And so you can see him, he's healing, he's staying in the backfield, he's waiting on other players to kind of call the shots and contributing to the fight very effectively, but most of what he's doing is, again, following what's going on. But as a whole, again, one of the things that really draws me to MOBAs and why I love these games is that coordination with strangers. It's the only kind of game type that does this sort of coordinated thing in this way, and I really love it for that. And I came to MOBAs a little bit late. I didn't play a lot of the kind of more popular, I shouldn't say more popular, kind of better known, I shouldn't say that either, like League of Legends and such. These are kind of the more typical ones people think of when they think of MOBAs. Heroes has a nice following, and I find it a lot easier to play. One thing I really, so talking about this, the biggest thing I enjoy about it is that coordination with strangers, kind of coordinating with a team. And one of the things I really don't like about the MOBA genre in general is that in most of them, the kind of standard way to play is you're competing with your own team. You're looking to get those final kills, you're looking to, And that, what he did right there, Uther flagged out saying he has limited mana. He intentionally called that to let us know that he wasn't going to be able to back us up if we got hurt. I'm going to go down here. Which, as the main tank, I maybe don't want to be doing this, but somebody's got to stop D.Va. And she's probably going to chew up any of the other players that does this. And we can't really let her do that. But yeah, so in a lot of them, you're competing with other players. There's this whole concept of last kill. So as you play a MOBA, you level up and you get experience by getting kills. But the classic ones, it takes that experience away from the player that doesn't get last kill. So right here, I've got all these guys low. If another player were to come in and get the kills on these, we would share the experience because that's how Heroes works. Whereas some of the more classic MOBAs, if someone swooped in and just dropped a bomb on these guys and killed them all, they would get the experience and I wouldn't, despite me doing the work. And it's already like a high-stress competitive environment. That's a really bad way to... I'm going to go ahead and say it's a bad way to design the game because that makes something that's already stressful and people are already kind of fighting about just that much more argumentative among your own team. And that really sucks. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to be cooperating, you want to kind of feel good about your team and how things are going. I'm trying to take out their support here. And we should have this relatively handily. One of our team did a good job of getting the turret over there. Now it's D.Va, we gotta take her out twice, but Uther's stunned, nice. And meanwhile, I'm doing this. I'm cranking up my quest here to build this up. So, but yeah, there's that coordination. You really don't want to be in a position where you're fighting with your own teammates as well as kind of relying on them to help you get through the game. That really sucks and sets up a really, really toxic environment. And that's one of the things that has sort of defined the MOBA for a long time. So that's why I really appreciate Heroes, because it has that level of cooperation that you don't get in some others. And even there, I'm the tank, so I went ahead and took that out so that I could tank a little bit of the damage so he wouldn't have to take it. Somebody has to stay on this so they don't take it from us. Ooh. And there you can see a lot of how the supports are interacting here. So Uther is coming in to save us and do healing. And then their support, Stukov, is doing stuff like dropping silence like that so that my abilities don't work. I guess I'm the tank already, so why not? And again, so you're watching this, we're playing 2 objectives. We just won that objective point by staying on it for longer, and so we were able to get this tank, which is a big advantage. Obviously lets you do a bunch of other stuff. and do a bunch of extra damage with relative safety. But I don't want to get too deep and die because this tank isn't going to last forever. So I'm going to see if I can do some damage up top here before they're able to take us down. And that was good. So again, you're seeing players kind of call out, say like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this. You don't have to agree, but a lot of the time when a player calls that kind of stuff out, the team will follow and cooperate really well to, win the game. And that, of course, varying degrees of success. But these are, 5 strangers or 4 strangers. We are together 5 strangers who don't know each other. We're just kind of playing a game. We hopped on all the time. All our shared interest is just that we are playing this game together. Which is cool, and it's a really, really unique experience to be able to do that. And again, I really enjoy that as a professional, just because it really helps kind of my ability to cooperate with people, or understand them a little bit better. And just on an instinctual level again, so that I'm, kind of learning how these players behave over the course of the game. I'm understanding just how they do things a little bit differently than I would, and kind of understanding where they need help and when. And that's a really, really cool experience that, again, is really added to because of how the way MOBAs are designed, and especially Heroes. And this guy's toast. Got away. Yeah, and I'm getting distracted here talking and playing at the same time, which is always a challenge with a fast-paced game like a MOBA. But that's also one of the things that makes it so good for this, is that we are, again, having to interact at a very fast-paced way. Ouch, 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 ouch. And I got too deep. I shouldn't have done that. If they can stun her, I'll survive. I did survive. Yay! And see that right there? They saw that I was in trouble. I was clearly trying to get away, and they jumped in to save me. And that is exactly what I'm talking about, and what makes these so cool. Again, of course, the experience is not always that good. You do have toxic players. You do have things happen that aren't great. But on the whole, this is 4 complete strangers. They could be awful anytime, and they are choosing not to be, which is very cool. And not only choosing not to be bad, but we're actively cooperating. And shout out, the kind of people that like to play support, just to go ahead and say it, are also the kinds of people that cooperate really well on this stuff. But we gotta get out of here. We get kind of beat up. Now what sucks too, though, is some players are a lot worse at running away from things like that than others. So, for example, we kind of have to watch out for Gul'Dan here because he's extremely slow. And if they catch him, he won't be able to run away. But also there's an objective. The map tells you the objective is coming, and their Abathur came in to take it. So we are up in level. The only reason they were able to get a lead on this is because the rest of us were kind of distracted, and we're all coming to it now. I'm kind of hoping this so it doesn't do too bad while we're out. And again, I'm kind of the tank and bruiser, so I can take the brunt of this so my team doesn't. And so the damage dealers, which I am also a damage dealer, can do a little extra. And while we're up here, let's do a little damage. So we have a bit of an edge, and one of the big reasons we have an edge is because we are cooperating. And the other team is doing well. They're holding us up, but they've got kind of a tough team, so they have to cooperate really well, and they don't have tanks, kind of talking through like why I think that this is going a little bit rough for them is because they have D.Va, who's a really, really distracting piece and can do a lot of damage, but she doesn't protect her team. And that's one of the key things that a tank can do. And that's nothing wrong with a D.Va player. That's just how D.Va works as a hero. And on top of that, they're having to deal with an extremely brutal front line. But they're all together going this, so I'm going to try to get to the bottom. See if I can distract him a bit. And so they want to stop this thing. It's got a timer, I believe, yeah, and then also has a health bar, so we don't get it forever. This is my cat. There you go. And I want to run away so we're not stuck in the middle of this. And we are going to be... That's a bummer. And I need to run. I am hurt. And if I die, I'm no good to the rest of my team. But I also, if there's any chance I can help out a little bit here. So we're all backing, so that's really good. Ooh. Well, so I don't have to run all the way back to base. And that, they've called out that this is an easy game. It is. We're winning and we have a pretty significant edge, but there's still, this could turn any time. And that's something I want to be sure to emphasize, is that, and I'm pretty proud of I'm proud of myself. I've been playing the game for a while, and I'm pretty good with Artanis, so I can kind of call when he's going to be able to finish something off versus when he'll get himself killed. And that's really important so that you're not overcommitting, and so you're being as effective as possible without, you know, dying. I don't think that's a good idea right now. They're all up. If we split onto a camp like that, yeah, then that'll happen. We should be running. We should be running. Come on. And so here, we're kind of signaling that we want to back by just backing away. And if they get crazy and follow us, sure. We'll punish them for it. Because we, again, have the level lead, but it's not a significant one. Like, they're still working on getting experience to make up that difference, and they can. And he's right. There, like I was saying, the D.Va is a powerful piece, but can't really compete here. She can't protect their team, and they've got a bunch of players, or a bunch of heroes who need to be protected. So now we're just kind of jerking around, so let's get out of here. And here, like, we could legitimately ignore them, but D.Va is a threat that we want to take care of, and she's playing well in that if she can't support her team, then she wants to run away. And there, I'm assuming she was trying to tank as much damage as she could before pulling up her suit, but just wasn't quite able to make it. I don't think I've died. That was a way to die. You don't run by yourself into fights like that. And that's another thing, is you can't play this game alone. You have to rely on other players, which actually enforces cooperation, but it's a nice kind of, you know, it's still, the end result is the end result, and I really like it. Yeah. And it's easy to talk up how great it is when you're winning. I do want to also record a losing game to make sure that that's on there too, because it's, you know, it can still be a really fun, rewarding, satisfying experience even when you're losing. It can be terrible, but usually it's pretty good. And one of us does need to stay on the point, right? I want to make sure no one sneaks in here and takes it. And you can see you're leveling up. You get to pick in advance what... Ooh, that's bad. What skills... Ooh, that's... Well, that's better. No, guys. Good job, Vala. Rawr. And I am Gunner this time. Yay! Yeah, this is... We are definitely doing well in this game, but a lot of that, again, could change at any point. And it's really important to be aware of that, too. And I don't really expect us to dive on that, because that's deep in their defenses. They have their buildings up. Ah. But they should also be really careful diving in, because we do a lot of damage really fast. And they have heroes that can't run away all that well. And they're trying to bait us in there where they have defensive advantage, which, yeah, absolutely, as you should. But here, the team is cooperating and not doing something dumb. But here, Butcher and I do so much damage, we can take this down really quickly. And that's one unfortunate thing, too. With heroes that can't run away, Butcher, Uther for the stun, and then also Artanis is just a nasty matchup. Did he live? Oh, nope, he did not. Ah! Ow. Definitely got caught with that. But yeah, that's my TED Talk. TED Talk on the importance of MOBAs, importance and value of MOBAs. And I do want to play a game as an actual support to kind of talk about that. But the cooperation element goes beyond supports. That's just one of the key things that I like about supports. And that's, yeah, really is my TED Talk. Yeah, this has been, oh, what is that? I have no idea what that is. I've never seen that before. And we probably can go straight for the win here because they're down pretty low. But we don't want to get too confident about that, because they could pop up at any point and wipe us, and that could. But they have very good reasons to be worried about us. And I'm going to back around a bit and use some of my abilities to heal. Grab some of these hearts. Yeah, and that's... That was pretty, fairly one-sided. That is a bummer on their composition. So somebody mentioned their comp. That's composition, that is the team has... every player chooses the character that they want to play as, and then the game randomly matches you with a team. Yeah, you did pretty good. 40 minutes. Pretty proud of that. It did good. And this is tough. He's, you know what? People like Gul'Dan. There you go. You can upvote to tell your players how well they did, which is another way to upvote. One of the things that I really like doing is upvoting players in the other team if they played particularly well. Just because you want to recognize good play wherever it happens. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And then we'll maybe do another video. We'll see.